I thought, let me just ask and see if they need a part-time job. What's up, guys? My name's Sean. I'm a full-time clothing eBay reseller, and I'm going to tell you guys how I got my part-time employee, what steps I took to get her, how I did it, how I avoided the mistakes I made the first time, and how's it going currently. Stay tuned. First up, I'll give a brief history of my employee journeys last year. So last year, I found somebody through Indeed. I've made a post. It was pretty easy. It wasn't too bad. I made a few mistakes in the post, but eventually I made a post, and the very first or second person that applied to the post, I set up an interview. I thought she was great. She came on. I was kind of trying to tell her everything that needed to be done as far as like too in-depth, too quick, and it really did not latch on, and also she was not in the mode where she needed any money necessarily, and she just wasn't trying to like work as hard as I think she could have. From that, I had to let her go. She only worked a couple of days, and I just realized that it long term it wasn't going to work. And then I also was awaiting the birth of my son. So Seth, if you guys have watched the videos, he's 5.5, almost 6 months old now, and he's everything. So whenever he came, I lost a lot of sleep. I had to learn how to be a parent, and I knew I wouldn't be able to hold an employee or train somebody up to the speed that I needed them to be at to make this thing profitable. What I mean by profitable is their input into the business is producing an output that is more than what it costs to pay for their help. And that's pretty much what you have to do. You cannot have them make more money than you, and you cannot have them losing you money, or it's just not going to work. One of the things I quickly realized was I did not have a good basis to explain how to do things. I've never managed people in the past. I needed to figure out how to simply explain information to them that they would be doing, and one of the ways that I did that was I created YouTube videos on how to do photos, and that was actually one of my best videos, and it was a good sign that that video provided really great information. I felt like these YouTube tutorial videos would be a great tool that an employee could use so that they got a good understanding of what I was looking for out of them. Those videos did pretty good, and as you can see, the channel has grown really well, which I appreciate everyone that watches, and I'm going to tell you how that benefited me later in finding my employee now. But I wanted to get away from Indeed. I did not think Indeed was the place to go because I cannot put a high enough number for pay in order to get a good value worker. I'm not against giving raises or paying more for my employee. However, in the beginning, I don't want to start them that high because I know they're not going to be able to come up to speed until probably, thousands of close into this thing for them to get the reps and really be, close to my level of efficiency. Another thing that I had considered, and I had heard this from Daily Refinement on his channel, was you want to find somebody who's busy. You want to find somebody who has other things going on, possibly another job, or they're at full-time in school and they just need some type of a little bit of boost because I can only provide probably a max of 20 hours a week. The main task I want them to focus on is taking pictures of clothes and then listing them on eBay. I didn't want to go through Indeed or any other online job application forms because another thing I noticed with a lot of those applicants is they would click yes to just multiple jobs that met their criteria, and then whenever they would call you, they had never looked into the business or anything to even ask questions. They just were kind of like, okay, I'm here, like what needs to happen. This is what I did. I decided to go to places that I'd already gone to, and I'm not talking about like thrift stores, but say like the grocery store or say like retail stores or convenience stores, anywhere where I typically would frequent. And if I saw somebody who I thought would be compatible as far as me getting along with them and just if maybe they spoke well, I thought, let me just ask and see if they need a part-time job. So that's exactly what I did. I had one person for a while who I was kind of pressing a little bit to try to get them to come in for an interview, and eventually she just kind of never responded back. So I was like, okay, that didn't work. And then the very second person that I found was my current employee, Randy. What I did with her was I said, hey, I haven't really seen you around here. And she was like, yeah, I just actually got, moved from full-time to part-time because I didn't want to work in that area of the store. And nonetheless, I said, well, would you like to work for me? And she was just like, huh? And I handed her a business card, which the business card adds like a little bit of an authority to you. I mean, it shows you paid money to make a business card, but it also shows that, you have your contact information, everything's there. And then the YouTube channel was actually a pretty good buff for the business card because I told her, if you are interested, I have a few videos on what the task will be that you'll be doing. you can go ahead and watch those and just give me a call back. The next day, she did not call me back, and I was, I was ready to get an employee. Like, I want to push this a little harder, and I wanted to alleviate some of the workload so I can work on other tasks of the business as far as acquiring items and building my YouTube channel and my other business. So she did not call back, and I went back up to that store and I talked to her coworker and I said, "Hey, I was just wondering if that woman Randy was in, and I was gonna talk to her about working for me." And she goes, "No, she's not in. She may come in like either later that day or the next day." And I said, "Okay, well," I was like, "if you could just let her know that I came back up here to ask for her," and then the next day I got a call. So that was pretty good. But the most important thing that happened that made me feel like this was going to work was whenever Randy came to work, she had already watched the 2 videos and she had a really good idea of how to do the job. Her very first day, she was able to pump photos out. She did better on her first day than the last employee I had the year before did on her 5th day before I let her go. So I knew right away within a few minutes, and I kind of knew whenever I met her and started speaking with her that she was going to have a shot to be a good employee. And so far, she's been great. I'm very excited about it. I've noticed myself as well not being too critical about what she's doing, and then also not, flooding her with information about tasks that she may not need to do right away. Like every day, maybe I'll bring up one new thing, or I'll just mention like, hey, this is something I look for, because eventually what I'm trying to develop is a carbon copy of myself to run this eBay store. I want Randy to be able to do photos. I want her to be able to list items. I want her to be able to source items, ship items, handle customer questions, pretty much everything I would be doing. The thing about it is I cannot pay her a full-time wage, so she's going to have to work the 2 jobs, I guess, and unless she finds something better, and in that case I would cry and be very sad if she was no longer able to work. At the same time, I do think I can provide that. I just think it's going to take like a year to build to that point. Now, I have some this is new news, new things happening in Taylor Exchange business. I got a place downtown in my hometown. It's a bank building that was converted to like a bunch of just business offices. It's a 12-story building. It's called the Big Blue Building. I'm in Wichita Falls. A lot of people will ask. I'm not in the Dallas area, but I source the Dallas and Oklahoma City areas because I'm right in the middle of those 2 areas. It's kind of like my advantage. And also the cost of this place, as well as like, the cost of living in my town, is very low. Those are really good things I have going, and I plan to open a Plato's Closet of sorts in that office, and I'm also going to have a listing station set up as well as a desk. But I'm going to add a few racks of clothes for people to purchase. And if you guys have noticed like long sleeve button shirts in the thrift stores going up to like $9 and $12 and $15, those are usually the better brands that the thrift stores are identifying. And my plan is to buy those items, which I typically would not buy for eBay unless it was really special. But if it's more of like a common plaid, cinch, or area for, $10, $11, $12, I'm going to buy those shirts and sell them for $20 to $25 in my store. Also going to be buying customers' clothes like Plato's Closet to sell those on eBay. And that is the goal, to get enough items in order to make more money to pay and eventually make Randy my full-time employee. And then from there, if things go well, then I would hire another person to start listing, and pretty much Randy would be managing them. And that's how I'm going to roll this until I can either grow more scale in volume, or if I want to keep it at a certain size. And I guess the next evolution would possibly be making a larger store. If I had, if things were selling at a decent profitable price in store, then I would probably have more of like a built out store. But right now I think it's 19 and a half feet by, let's say like 13 feet or so, which is a pretty decent size, but it's, in order to have the listing station, the desk, and then have racks of clothes, it's going to be a little tight. So still trying to figure that out. It's going to be in the works. I'm going to kind of create some content about that, because when I look on YouTube, like how to create a resale business, all I get flooded with is you resellers out there creating videos about buy, sell, trade store arbitrage, going to Plato's, taking a bunch of bins clothes, getting the credit, buying a nice piece, and then flipping it on eBay, which is a great strategy if you guys have never done that. But I'm going to try to explain like how to build this business, because I think it's good information for those out there. It's not something a lot of people are able to pull off, and the ones that do pull it off are usually franchises and well-established places who are not creating content on YouTube, like the common single business owner, but now 2 employees in the business. I am an employee of my own business, and then my employee Randy is the second employee. So I hope you guys got some tips out of this. Leave some comments down below if you have any questions. If you're wondering like, hey, well, what about this? I mean, as far as pay goes, I can't believe I waited till the very end. I'm not going to tell her like how much I pay her, but I will tell you if you're looking to pay an employee, I would test them out on a cash basis for a couple of days before you put them on payroll, because it costs money to put them on payroll, and then you have to give them the the W-2 at the end of the year. So like that last employee I had, I actually put her on payroll the second to last day before I let her go. So then I had to send a W-2 to her for like, small amount of money. So yeah, I would go with like just cash for a couple of days and then put her on payroll and then start taking the taxes out correctly. And definitely talk to a CPA about that if you're not sure how to do it. And yeah, it's going well. So stay tuned and I'll see you next time. Bye.